we're going to be talking about a subject that is very dear to the hearts of Nigerians. I can almost say to every Nigerian, the issue of power. How far have we moved? How much movement have we seen since new investors took over and PHCN was unbundled in November, which is about 2 months ago? Now, to look at that with us this morning, it's my pleasure to welcome Mr. Abayomi Dawodu, who's a power analyst and also a politician, I might add. Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for joining us. And our old friend who happens to be in town and is paying us a visit, Mr. Jalingo.
It's a pleasure.
He is now the publisher of the Cross River Watch. That's why we haven't been seeing him on this program.
Thank you very much.
Happy New Year to you and
Same
welcome.
To you.
Good to see you.
Thank you.
Let me start with you, Mr. Dawodu. November 1. Great day in Nigeria. Celebrations. NEPA was unbundled and handed over to private investors, and we thought, yeah, this is the beginning of good things. And since then, how much change have we seen?
Good morning, Lagos. And I just want to congratulate you on your 8th victory as the station of the year.
Thank you very much.
It's a record. Like I've said before, if you want to see how a car you want to buy looks like, you first of all look for the former owner. What type of person is he? Careless, caring? It's just ceremony. November 1 was just ceremony. There is nothing, and there may be nothing to show for it. If you permit me to go on, please. What we are toying with here in Nigeria is the source of our poverty, and perhaps will continue to be the source of our poverty, our albatross in electricity, if we cannot key into the words of the Almighty God.
Mr. Dawodu?
Yes.
These are private companies who are in business to make money.
Mm-hmm.
So how can you say what you have just said?
Do you know them? Because I know them.
Well, like Kayode was saying at the beginning of the program.
What do you know about them? I'm glad you said you know them. What do you know about them?
If you take a journey to most of the electricity installations in Nigeria, the business district and the zones, you will find the same faces that some of us had to start shouting that this thing must be privatized.
Did you work for PHCN?
I never.
Okay, all right.
Go to any of these places that I've mentioned. In your area, you have a zone. You either fall into Lagos zone or Ikeja zone. Mm-hmm. It is the same type of faces that wrecked PHCN that you still find there.
I will go back to what I said before. That PHCN has been unbundled, and those who bought into it, the investors, are businessmen. Mm-hmm. So in no time at all, if they find that these people are wreckers, they're going to get rid of them because they're in business to make money.
That was why I said if you needed to buy a car, a used car, mm-hmm. you have to do a sort of askings about what type of person was the driver.
So what exactly is your point? That the same elements who wrecked PHCN are still in private companies.
There.
But it won't take long before they're found out.
That is why I am saying it.
Okay. Mr. Jalingo, have we seen any improvement since, and why do you think we haven't seen any?
Yeah, I want to say that since November 1, the power situation has actually dipped very, very badly. And I'm saying this, I was forced personally to go and buy an inverter. I've never thought about it, but it became so bad, I couldn't even use my laptop. I had to go and buy an inverter to get it, make sure I had light in the house. But having said that, I will also want to say that maybe it's too short a time for us to begin to assess the new investors. I'm quite hopeful about the fact that the PSCN was eventually privatized. I had a private discussion with my elder brother. My mother's first son is a senior manager in NEPA, and each time we talk, I tell him that, brother, I can't wait for the obituary of this company. He says I'm crazy. I say yes, but I cannot wait. I can't wait for your obituary, because I know that your continuous existence is what is keeping us in darkness in this country. And for the fact that PSCN was eventually privatized, I am quite happy and hopeful. But I was also a little uncomfortable when Mr. President, day before yesterday, said that started putting those same dates again. And that is usually where they begin to create problems for themselves. You are saying that in 6 months' time we are going to see improvement in power generation. And I don't know the parameters that the president was using to give us that kind of date. And he has ended up putting pressure on himself. I'm a journalist and I know that we'll start counting the days for him. I can't wait for the 6 months to come so that we go back to him again and ask him. I thought that the statement was hasty. It was laced with too much of optimism. Mr. President is not an engineer, and I know that the power facilities in this country...
Maybe he knows something that you don't know. He's had a meeting with the investors and they've given him that date.
No, he has given us several dates in this country, and the dates just came and passed away as though they did not pass. So I think this one is just going to be another date that was said out of excitement. But having said that also, I am quite hopeful about the fact that the privatization of PSCN may improve power supply in the country. But even the privatization process had its own challenges that I worry about. The 4 generation companies that were privatized, the GENCOs like they call them, the government told us they raked in about $2.2 billion. And then the 11 distribution companies, including ECO and Ikeja, brought them about $1.2 billion, making a total of over $3 billion. That's about the equivalent to over 500 billion naira. And BP also informed us that about 384 billion of that was reserved to settle labor liabilities. I would expect that the rest of the money will be used in revamping the facility, the infrastructure. Because if you see our wires, sometimes I wonder, these wires that were installed in the 60s, do they really have the capacity?
Abba, the money was paid to government for them to acquire the facility. So why should government use that money to go and revamp the
Maybe I should not say facility, in creating the right environment. Maybe I should not say facility, because the new investors are expected to use their money to do the new facilities. But I'm expecting that whatever money that government generated from that should be used to create the supporting environment for the investors to be able to give us light within the period that government is expecting.
Because the supply of gas.
Just like the supply of gas, because up till now we still hear people talking about vandalization. That is the same excuse they keep giving us, even though billions have been paid to some individuals as well as the Nigerian Navy to protect our gas pipelines. We still hear about power vandalization of power pipelines. Then secondly, privatization is intended to dislodge monopoly. But the way and manner that the federal government went about this particular kind of privatization, only one company, like the 11 distribution companies that were sold, each one, like the Port Harcourt distribution company, which is supposed to be in charge of 4 states, including Cross River, my state, was sold to only one company. That means all the 4 states that are under the control of that company will still be under the monopoly of that company. I would have thought that in order to encourage competition, in every zone that was given to a particular company, we will give maybe 2 or 3 companies license to operate there, so that the users will have the choice of who to run to, just like what we have with telecoms company. But I think government has only ended up creating regional monopolies where the users will still be under the whims and caprices of each company as their zones are designated. I worry about that, and I am also worried about the fact that it doesn't seem like these are Nigerian assets that, even though they were going to be sold, government should have thought futuristically about how to get the citizens to also be part of the ownership, by giving the companies a timeline within which they will operate, and then move into the stock exchange for other Nigerians to also participate in owning these companies, since they were public assets that have been sold. Like MTN and Airtel, they named them today, they are supposed to be in the stock market, but I think government did not prepare for that. And I see government making the same mistake with these companies, where people will rake all the money and run away with them, even though they are using Nigerians as stooges in the name of board chairman and the rest of them. We know that these companies are originally owned by foreigners and foreign capital.
Okay, maybe we should ask you then, what's your thought about the fact that some people are alleging that these companies, Discos, Gencos, Transcos, they have taken over, but they have spent so much money in buying over the infrastructure that is said to be decadent and in a really terrible state of disrepair, and now they don't have the finance to go ahead and repair those infrastructure. What's your thought about that?
Yeah, I want to lay a proper foundation before I answer that. When you said the president was hasty in making that half of the year announcement, it wasn't as if he was hasty. He said it based on the docility of Nigerians and the impunity of the government. Look, there are two institutions that I fear in this world. I fear the CNN and I fear channels. Because anything you say on CNN or channels, you are saying it at the backyard of the Almighty God. Look, the president was on Amapo program. He had said, perhaps what he said on the program, we should not even come here to talk about electricity again. But it is the way we are made. Go and tell them sweet word. That's the Happy New Year or something, and nothing will come out of it. About the question you asked me, yes, if it is a federal government of Nigeria's facility, even if it was an empty structure, some people will buy into it. Why? Because they have the audacity to ask for money for services not rendered. There is one issue now, and which happily the political party founded by this great by the Nigeria's Nelson Mandela, late Chief Gani Fawehinmi, the LCP, have said they are going to start fighting for this issue of fixed charges. It's not a good idea in business that you ask somebody to pay a fixed amount for services that you will render or not even render. When the unit's cost was increased by the president, go and check into all the bills everywhere. The companies, the electricity companies, have padded it up, and all they know is that, well, they will come and pay us. That is why PACL or whatever name they want to be called down will never work, because they know that whether they work.
Well, there's no more PHCN. You know,
whatever I said, by whatever name they are called down, because they have started to issue a co-distribution zone, a distribution zone. They have started to issue bills down. But you and I.
Have you received any bill from any of them?
Yes.
What name was on the bill that
the co-distribution zone? That's the.
And do you understand who are the people behind the co-distribution zone?
Go to Marina there. You will find.
You're not sure who they are, but you just get their bills anyway.
Look, when these people, I was even wondering that how did this person get this so amount of millions of dollars? But when we called ourselves together to really analyze the situation, we now know that they are mere fronts.
Yeah, but you can't say that if you're not able to say who they are.
They have names.
Okay, so you know the people.
They have names, yes. After all, the certificate was handed over to somebody on the television. It was that somebody I will now started to analyze what type of person is he.
Okay.
I will tell you one thing. I have said it and I will continue to say it. The issue of electricity that we are toying with, that we are not serious about, is the source of our poverty, and perhaps may continue to be the source of our poverty. Who are we if the Almighty God? I am a Muslim, but go and read Genesis 1 in the Holy Bible. When God started creation of the earth, at a time God looked down on what he had created and he found that he was not pleased. He now said the word, let there be light. From that time till today, we have the moon and the sunlight. In the Holy Quran, they say people should not swear. Go and read Surah to Shamsu. In Surah to Shamsu, it says, "Wa Shamsu wadwa wal kamari itazala." I swear by the sun and I swear by the moon. God did not find anything great enough to swear with. I am a Lagosian. I am Dawodu. I am of the Ogun Dawodu stock in Lagos. The only festival we have in this state is the Adamu Orisha festival. When the Eyo comes out in the morning, in their flowing white agbada gown, everybody jumping up and down, felicitating. But when it is about 6 o'clock, when darkness is coming, the head of the Adimu something will change his tune. Look at the people they are calling heaven, that they don't know God. We start begging God. And that is when the Adimu will start saying, "Alale we ma le okunkun we ma kun birimu birimu birimu." Ẹ̀dá tó bá mọ̀ ṣe òkùnkùn kó má ṣe bí òṣùpá lóró.